This is KPFK Los Angeles, listener-sponsored Pacifica Radio for all of Southern California. This is Folksy with Peter Cutler at the controls. Our guests are Towns Van Zandt and Guy Clark.
Thank you, Howard.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. I don't expect to see you anymore.
Well, where's that finger ring I gave you? I said, where's that finger ring I gave to you? Where's that finger ring I gave you? And I don't expect to see you anymore.
My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. I don't expect to see you anymore. Well, I had me a mother that could pray, boys. She prayed for me both night and day, boys. I tore down every prayer that she could say, boys. I don't expect to see you anymore. Oh, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. I don't expect to see you anymore.
Lay it down. Feed him candy. You can rock my baby, feed him candy. Rock my baby, feed him candy. And I don't expect to see you anymore.
And my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. I don't expect to see you anymore. Oh, Mr. Sinbad, can you hear me? Down there in Grayson, Louisiana, I laid some flowers on your grave, sir. I don't expect to see you anymore. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains, my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. I don't expect to see you anymore.
Well, I am leaving in the morning. I'm leaving in the morning. I am leaving in the morning. And I don't expect to see you anymore.
My home's across the Smoky Mountains, my home's across the Smoky Mountains, my home's across the Smoky Mountains.
I don't expect to see you anymore.
Oh, in the morning gonna fly, babe. In the morning gotta roll, babe. Oh, in the morning gotta go, babe. I don't expect to see you anymore. And my home's across the Smoky Mountains, my home's across the Smoky Mountains, my home's across the Smoky Mountains. And I don't expect to see you anymore.
That was either my home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains or my home's across the Smoky Mountains.
Depends on where you're from.
Depends on you're standing on your head or not.
Towns Van Zandt and Guy Clark. Both Texans, but Guy lives in Nashville?
Yeah.
And I've moved to Nashville again.
Uh-huh.
I've lived in Nashville 2 or 3 times.
You've lived all over, haven't you?
Well, we did a lot of traveling when I was growing up. Mostly in the West.
Some people,
mostly Texas, but Colorado, and I went to 3rd and 4th, and I guess the 4th grade to the 7th grade in Billings, Montana.
Mm-hmm. As an adult, have you stayed pretty much in Texas?
No. Like I've lived in L.A. for a couple of summers, and lived in New York for half a year at a time, a few times, and then Nashville like 3 times, and
Colorado.
Yeah.
Was that pursuing music, or?
Yeah, just pursuing life,
And
which to me is mostly music.
Uh-huh.
It up until with these new cuts of my songs, or kind of when they were, they're not so new anymore, but Poncho and Lefty and If I Needed You, it kind of reopened the music business part of my career. And along about the same time, had a little baby boy, and it all just kind of conglomerated into moving to Nashville again, where the business is, and getting an address where the kid can be. Up until then, I never really, for big stretches of time, wouldn't have an address. I use Guy's address a lot.
You serious?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's Towns Van Zandt, and his latest album's on Sugar Hill called At My Window, and there's an album on Heartland called Live and Obscure, which came out almost the same time, right?
It's not released in the United States yet. You can kind of get it. You can get it in the United States. It's not supposed to be released here. I don't know much about it. We just recorded it.
I guess you can get it as an import.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yep.
However that works.
That's how I got mine. Anyway, Towns is on Sugar Hill Records, and the album's called At My Window, which is getting really wonderful reviews.
That's good. I was real proud of it. I'm kind of I guess halfway close, halfway through with the songs for the next one. Almost halfway.
How about doing a song for us?
Guy's got one coming out this month, right?
Really?
On Sugar Hill.
Sugar Hills.
Oh, good.
Think of it.
Yeah.
Towns, you want to do a song for us, and then we'll talk to Guy some.
Okay, well, let me do one from that's on At My Window. It's real fun to. It was a real fun record to make because I hadn't made a record for a long time, and most all the people that are on At My Window were on the last records that I did make. So it was like a real nice reunion of a bunch of old friends who were all familiar with, the style of the music. It was a real treat. This one's called the Buckskin Stallion Blues. I heard her sing in tongues of silver. I heard her cry on a summer storm. I loved her, but she did not know it, so I don't think about her anymore. Now she's gone and I can't believe it, so I don't think about her anymore. If 3 and 4 were 7 only, where would that leave 1 and 2? If love can be and still be lonely, where does that leave me and you? Time there was and time there will be, where does that leave me and you? Well, if I had a buckskin stallion, I'd tame him down and ride away. And if I had a flying
buckskin schooner, I'd sail into the light of day. If I had your love forever, sail into the light of day. Pretty songs and pretty places, places that I've never seen. Pretty songs and pretty faces, tell me what their laughter means. Some look like they'll cry forever, tell me what their laughter means. If I had a buckskin stallion, I'd tame him down and ride away. If I had a golden galleon, I'd sail into the light of day. If I had your love forever, sail into the light of day.
Since Poncho and Lefty and If I Needed You and now White Freightliner Blues, are more people coming around to you asking for your songs?
Well, it's a lot. That's happened some, you know. But I know what you're talking about. What has happened more is that when you take people's songs, you know, they're much easier to take people's songs. My wife, Janine, does that pretty much full time, you know, and makes tapes and takes them around, and it's always, you know, nowadays it's always here's, you know, 3 Townes Van Zandt songs. Oh, great.
Yeah.
You know, where, you know, years ago it used to be here's 3 Townes Van Zandt songs, and it was like, who? Or, you know, what songs?
Sometimes both of you have, I call it a problem. It's not a problem, but your songs are not necessarily identified with you as songwriters, because guys' songs, Desperados and L.A. Freeway, and there are probably a lot of people out there who think Jerry Jeff wrote L.A. Freeway, right?
Yeah, it used to be sometimes when I'd play with Jerry Jeff, you know, I'd get up and I'd do my songs, and then Jerry'd get up and play, and then people, my wife would be sitting in the audience, she'd overhear people say, well, that guy's pretty good, but why is he doing all them Jerry Jeff Walker songs?
Guy, would you do a song for us?
Sure.
You don't have to do a Jerry Jeff Walker song.
This is my favorite new song that my wife Susanna and I wrote, and a friend named Richard Dobson had a little hand in. It's called Old Friends. It's like when you're making conversation and you're trying not to scream, and you're trying not to tell them that you don't care what they mean, and you're really feeling fragile, and you really can't get home, and you really feel abandoned, but you want to be alone. Old friends, they shine like diamonds. Old friend that you can always call. Old friend, Lord, you can't buy 'em. You know it's old friends after all. When the house is empty and the light begins to fade, and there's nothing to protect you except a window shade, and it's hard to put your finger on the thing that scares you most. And you can't tell the difference between an angel and a ghost. Old friend, they shine like diamonds. Old friend, you can always call. Old friend, Lord, you can't buy 'em. You know it's old friends after all. Yes, it's old friends that shine like diamonds. Old friends you can always call. Old friends, Lord, you can't buy 'em. You know it's old friends after all.
Guy Clark. Mm-hmm. The last album was on Warner Brothers, Better Days. It was a wonderful record. Great songs, produced wonderfully. I really admire the production on that record.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Rodney Crowell produced that.
Tell me about the new album.
It's a record I've always wanted to make. You know, it's real acoustic, totally acoustic, and no drums, just a little percussion. And it's the folk record I always dreamed of making. So a friend of mine, an engineer friend of mine named Miles Wilkinson, and I produced it. And shoot, we just made it and
Are they all
did
new
it ourselves.
Are they all new songs? Or?
Well, with the exception, on this particular album, I've done a lot of co-writing that I didn't used to do. So 7 of them are songs I either wrote by myself or co-wrote with friends. And there's a song my wife, Susanna, and a friend of ours named Richard Lee wrote called Come From the Heart. It's a beautiful song. And a song of Towns's that I've always wanted to do called To Live Is to Fly. And I remember for the day he wrote that song, we were living in Houston. He and Rocky Hill and this spoon player named Chico came over and woke me up and set up in the corner of my bedroom. I was still in bed, and they set up in the corner and did this little set and sang this song for me. I've wanted to learn it ever since. And then a song of Joe Ely's, an old song of Joe Ely's called Indian Cowboy.
I'm going to ask you to do that later. If you don't
Sure.
mind. Let me ask you about your own writing for both of you. Is writing something different than... when you write, do you think of yourself solely? It has nothing to do with anybody else.
No. Well, for the most part, recently, I've been doing some co-writing with other artists, you know, guys who are making records. And so you kind of, I mean, they come to me and they want to write songs that they're going to record. So in that respect, I kind of think about them doing it, you know, rather than just solely myself. But for the most part, I'm not thinking about other people doing them. I'm thinking about me doing it.
Thomas, you?
Yeah, it's one of the, seems to be, to me, the prerequisites for, for writing a song, or one of the conditions that, has to be there is you got to be alone. And even if you're co-writing, the two of you have to be alone like one body, but you have to be alone and closed off. You might see get an idea from driving down the street or something, but when you want to turn it into a song, I mean, you can't be around
Do you focus
TV or ink or baby or any other human, just about.
Do you focus on just Townes Van Zandt doing that song? Is it?
Oh, you mean for if it is recorded?
Yeah.
No, it never really gets that far. I mean, I don't particularly think about it being recorded by me or anybody else. It's just that there's some, it could be a message, or it could be just a collection of words that fit nicely together, But, if I was on a boat and the boat, well, it's kind of an extreme example, but I knew the boat was going down, and there wasn't going to be anybody ever heard the song again, and I certainly wouldn't record it because I'd be in the deep six. I mean, if the urge was strong enough to write it, I'd write it, you know. Plus, it killed a little time while you're waiting for the big gulp. You know, but I never have thought of I'm going to write a song for Willie to record, or write a song for. That's way further down the line.
Mm-hmm. I imagine that might be a stumbling block too for a writer to try to outguess.
Well, a lot of people make a living doing that. I mean, there's a lot of writers in Nashville who that's their stock and trade. They have no desire to go sing them for the folks, you know. But like me and Towns, I got no reason to write unless I go play them for somebody, and I got no reason to go play unless I got songs I've written. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship.
Towns, do you ever get tired of doing Poncho and Lefty?
No, I never have. I'm not sure why. I think I kind of listen to it, you know, along with everybody else every time. Mm-hmm. And there are enough, that song doesn't mean any, you know, dead set particular thing, right? Different lines. It does kind of, but I've heard it described meaning, you know, different stuff. And it's one good thing is it's fun to play. It's fun to finger pick, you know, and a bunch of little combinations of little things like that. One time, and I worried a little bit about that, just a shade, because one time Jerry Jeff does, asked me, he was, you know, kind of Jerry Jeffed out. He told me that he was fed up. He wanted me to go on the road for him. And it was, we're about the, you know, we look kind of the same, which means that we're both, you know, walk on two legs, right? Neither one of us are blonde, right? That we both play the guitar right-handed. And he was like, you know, I was just kind of laughing about it. And it turned out he was like serious. He was semi-serious. Jerry Jeff, you know, you got to go to such and such, and you know, can't do that. I mean, nobody's going to think I'm you. And he said, oh man, all you got to do is learn Mr. Bojangles, right? So I was kind of warned that could happen. So I just never allowed it to happen.
I was going to ask you.
I think Jerry Jeff has gotten over that, by the way.
I was going to ask you Poncho and Lefty, but what intrigues me about that song, because you're right, every time I hear it, I fill in blank spaces with different scenarios myself, and I wondered if that had been shortened down from something a little bit longer, a little more detail in it.
That's mostly a ska song.
Ska.
Just a line would come that went with the ones before. I mean, some songs you can set out to, like, I'm going to write a song about this particular circumstance or feeling or that. And with Poncho and Lefty, it was just the first line came, then another line, and, you know, a little craftsmanship involved. But also, when you say that, Howard, people say that, don't I ever get tired of playing Poncho and Lefty, or with Guy, it could be, don't you ever get tired of playing LA Freeway. You also got to look at it in the context that, you know, I play Poncho and Lefty every night, but I also play Rex's Blues every night. I also play Mud and Gold every night, and If I Needed You, and on and on and on, right? So it's, you know, you don't just go out on stage, play Poncho and Lefty and split. There's like 15 other songs that play too. To me, it's like, you know, and I realize that that's the one that people, you know, most people have heard of and all that, and If I Needed You. But Poncho, for sure. I realize that, but to me it's kind of one more song, and it happens to be a fun song to play and sing.
Would you do it for us?
Sure. If I can remember it.
Well, it must...
Let me tell this, my little story about Poncho, might as well. I'll try to make it short. I was playing in Dallas, and Billy Graham and the Guru Maharaji were playing in Dallas at the same time. And they had, between the young Christians and the young gurus every motel in Dallas was full. And I stayed like 40 miles out of town in a motel, and there was absolutely nothing to do. There was no TV in this motel, and the phone didn't work, and the swimming pool was cracked. There was nothing to do. And so I just had this free time on my hands, and that's where this song came from. I used to say it was about Billy Graham and the Guru Maharaji, but now I figured they kind of co-wrote it. You know, neither one of them has ever confronted me about money or anything, so hope they don't hear the broadcast.
Living on the road, my friend, was gonna keep you free and clean. Now you wear your skin like iron, your breath's as hard as kerosene. You weren't your mama's only boy, but her favorite one, it seems. She began to cry when you said goodbye and sank into your dreams. Poncho was a bandit, boys. His horse was fast as polished steel. Wore his gun outside his pants for all the honest world to feel. Poncho met his match, you know, on the deserts down in Mexico, and nobody heard his dying words. Oh, but that's the way it goes. And all the federales say they could have had him any day. They only let him hang around out of kindness, I suppose. Well, Lefty, he can't sing the blues all night long like he used to. The dust that Poncho bit down south ended up in a Lefty's mouth. The day they laid poor Poncho low, Lefty split for Ohio, where he got the bread to go. Oh, it ain't nobody knows. And all the federales say they could have had him any day. They only let him slip away out of kindness, I suppose. Poets tell how Poncho fell. Lefty's living in a cheap hotel. The desert's quiet and Cleveland's cold. So the story ends, we're told. Poncho needs your prayers, it's true. Save a few for Lefty too. He just did what he had to do. Oh, and now he's growing old. A few gray federales say they could have had him any day. They only let him go so wrong out of kindness, I suppose. A few gray federales say they could have had him any day. They only let him go so wrong out of kindness, I suppose.
Townes Van Zandt. Our other guest is Guy Clark. And I wanted to ask you something, Guy, about living in Nashville. First of all, I find the Texas songwriters to be tremendously supportive of one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you, anywhere from Nancy Griffith to Jimmy Dale Gilmore to Butch Hancock,
yeah.
They'll all, if you corner them and start to talk about music, they'll talk about Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt and even do their songs.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Do you think that phenomena is Texas? Says something about the Texas attitude?
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. But I mean, I run into a lot of songwriters from a lot of different parts of the country, and they're all pretty nice. Pretty supportive of one another. But that is true about Texas songwriters, I think.
How about a song?
Sure. Got anything you want to hear?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of torn. As often happens when we have guests here, the songwriters, I want to hear their songs, but there's songs they do that I've never heard before that are not theirs, like Joe Ely's Indian Cowboy.
Indian Cowboy, sure, I'll do that for you. That's a great song. It's the first night I met Joe. We were in Austin, and we'd been up all night, man, and we just drinking and just carrying on, and we were sitting out in Gary P. Nunn's backyard playing, and about 8 o'clock in the morning, boy, we were just like, oh, God, man, I don't think I know any more songs, And Joe looked up and he said, man, I got one more song. And he played this song for me, and it flipped me out. It was great. So I ran around, went in the house and got a tape recorder set up and got him to put it on tape, And he promptly forgot about it. He didn't remember it at all. And so I'd been playing this song out, and people kept coming up to Joe saying, man, sing that Indian Cowboy song. And he's going, what? I don't remember. But anyway, Joe, Joe's the only guy I know that ran away from home and joined the circus. And this is a song about, as a circus train goes around, they hire local cowboys and wranglers to help them with the stock. And this is a song he wrote called The Indian Cowboy. Well, if you ever go out to the circus where the wildlanders walk on the wire, well, I'll tell you a tale to remember when the white horse's leap rings of fire. It was a cold night in Oklahoma, and the show was about to begin, and the animals, they were all restless when the star horse, she broke from her pen. Now she was a mare of high spirit, just like a whore on a Saturday night. She's kicking and bucking past the men who was brushing the elephants lying on their sides. Now next to the tent sat some lanterns, and they was dangerously close to the hay, and that mare headed straight for those lanterns that some fool had put there by mistake. Ooh, then up stepped some Indian cowboy, and his lasso went whirling through the air, and in a full dead middle of danger, oh, he roped that runaway mare. And then the elephants raised up their trumpets, and 2 of them broke from their chains, stampeded that Indian cowboy who had saved the big top from flames. So if you ever go out to the circus where the wildlanders walk on the wire, you just remember that Indian cowboy when the white horse's leap rings of fire.
It's a great song.
Yes, boy, it's too much.
And that's Guy Clark singing it. Guy will have a new album out shortly on Sugar Hill. What's it called?
Old Friends.
Yeah. And any other long-range plans we can discuss?
Well, just playing all I want to and writing all I can,
You don't write too much with your wife, do you?
Well, we do. We don't do it every day, but we write together fairly often. But she's done a lot of writing herself. She's done really well.
Do you coach each other, or you
Well, we're we don't coach each other. We help each other. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when I finish a new song, I play it for her, and she finishes one, she plays it for me. Like, what do you think? You know, well, you know, you can do this here. Or, that's great. You know, don't touch it. You know.
You mentioned that a lot of the songs on the new album are co-written.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be something you could continue to do, or can you go back to solo writing? Or?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're not all co-written, but I enjoy doing it. You know, and I enjoy writing by myself as well. So, you know, I can have it either way I like.
Does it take anything special for you to get to write a song? Do you have to be in a special place, or?
Well, like Towns was saying, you know, you need to get alone, and you know, I like looking out a window for a couple of days, just kind of clear your head out.
Yeah.
But I know I can't ride on the road. You know, it's just you don't have time to get reflective. You're always trying to make sure you're at the airport on time or something.
Share with us a little bit about how you started to write songs.
Well, actually, I heard Towns writing when I was a folk singer, you know, and ran into Towns and Jerry Jeff in Houston in the mid-'60s, and Towns had just started writing, and it was the first time I'd ever heard anybody write songs that made me want to do it as well.
You were in a trio with K.T. Osland?
For a few days, yeah. Yeah, when she first, she was living in Houston, and I think she says, you know, it's the first time she'd ever really sung on stage. She was an actress. She was into theater. But we had this little folk trio, you know, and we were doing like Weaver's songs and New Lost City Ramblers and stuff like that.
I guess people are blowing that up a little bit. That
yeah, it actually didn't last very long. I mean, we might have played a couple of gigs, you know, but she wound up a lot of it. She was singing in a duet with a guy named Frank Davis, which was just stunning what they were doing. It was really marvelous stuff.
That's Guy Clark. Our guests are Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt. And Townes' latest album called At My Window on Sugar Hill. Did you write songs specifically for this album, Townes?
Not for that album. I kind of am for the next album, but then again, you know, you really don't. I kind of know in the back of my mind that any songs that I write now will be going on a next album, you know, a little ways down the road. But it's not to the point I've got to write songs for the album, you know. I've been from contractual stuff, that's happened to me a couple of times, to where if I didn't have a certain number of songs to turn in at a certain date, that all stuff would hit the fan, right?
Yeah.
Because of contracts and stuff. And, well, I mean, it was like 10 pots of coffee and a desk and a little tape recorder, and I think I wrote 12 songs in like 2.5 days. Got to the post office in Houston at about 5 minutes till 5 on Friday afternoon, and the mail worked and everything, and it was delivered in New York, a tape and the lyrics delivered in New York at before noon Monday, which was the deal. But I was never very worried. I figured I could just play one real long blues, you know, just maybe 30, 80 verses. It's easy to do. You know, I've known Lion Hopkins for a long time, right? And just cut it up into 20 pieces, you know.
Tom, want to do another song for us?
Sure. Let's see if I'm sure I can remember this one. Olaf wanted to hear this one. Let's see. I used to wake and run with the moon. I lived like a rake and a young man. I covered my lovers with flowers and wounds, a laughter the devil would frighten. The sun she would come and beat me back down. But every cruel day had its nightfall. I'd welcome the stars with wine and guitars, full of fire and forgetful. Well, my body was sharp and the dark hair clean, and outrage my joyful companion. Whispering women, how sweet did they seem, kneeling for me to command them. But time was like water and I was the sea. I'd have never noticed it passing, except for the turning a night into day, and the turning a day into cursing. Well, you look at me now, don't think I don't know what all your eyes are saying. Does he want us to believe these ravings and lies? They're just tricks that his brain's been a-playing. A lover of women he can't hardly stand. He trembles, he's bent and he's broken. Well, I've fallen, it's true, I say unto you, hold your tongues until after I've spoken. I was taking my pride in the pleasures I'd known. I laughed and thought I'd be forgiven, but my laughter turned around, eyes blazing, and said, my friend, we're holding a wedding. I buried my face, but it spoke once again. The night to the day we're a-binding. And now the dark air's like fire on my skin, and even the moonlight is blinding. Now the dark air's like fire on my skin, and even the moonlight is blinding.
Townes Van Zandt. Yeah. Listen, Townes, before I forget, there's a song I really want you to do. Sawtooth Shrimp.
I was thinking about doing that, as a matter of fact. This song Howard's talking about is a song that you may never hear anywhere else. It's kind of why I do it. And I learned it from an Elvis movie called Girls, Girls, Girls. And Elvis sang it riding on the back of a shrimp boat. It's called the Shrimp Song. Riding out to the sunset on this shrimp boat. And there were two guys with him playing 55-gallon oil drums. And just, I don't know why it impressed me so much. I've just never forgotten it. Well, I saw 3 shrimp in the water. 2 were old and gray. I swam a little bit closer and I heard the 3rd one say, goodbye, Mommy Shrimp, Papa shake my hand. Here comes a shrimp boat for to take me Louisiana. He showed his mama and papa a shrimp newspaper he'd read, with an advertisement which to all the young shrimp said, free ride New Orleans, stay in Grand Hotel, meet Creole gal to help you to come out of your shell. Meet Creole gal to help you to come out of your shell. Well, his poor mama and papa, they ain't heard from him yet. Last time they saw his smiling face was when he jumped into the net. Goodbye, Mommy Shrimp, Papa shake my hand. Here comes a shrimp boat for for to take me to Louisiana. Here comes a shrimp boat for to take me to Louisiana. Thank you. Thank you. Elvis, thanks you. There's two guys on the oil drums, thank you.
Townes Van Zandt. What do you say after that? Let me say you're listening to Folk Scene on KPFK Los Angeles, listener-sponsored Pacifica Radio for all of Southern California. Guy?
Yes.
Do you write songs when you have an album coming up, or do you just dig into what you got? Or
Well, I try to write all year, but there's always that deadline, or it has been in the past sometimes. But I mean, this is the first record I've made in 5 years, so I had a little backlog.
Yeah. Can we talk why it's been 5 years? I don't understand.
I don't know. I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do about making records,
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of, I've been trying to play with a band and do that whole thing, and it was just didn't suit the songs, didn't suit me, didn't suit the folks that were coming to listen, and so I just went back to just playing acoustic guitar and singing, and playing.
Plus, Howard, let me interject that being a folk singer is, a lot of folk singers, or not a lot, but some break into the real big time record sales, like Bob Dylan did, and Judy Collins. But Judy Collins even is not big time record sales,
Yeah, right.
like Bruce Springsteen or Michael Jackson or anything like that. And I guess speaking for Guy too, records are not the numero uno priority. It's like I tend to do records more to get the songs down somewhere, down for kind of posterity, and plus it makes records. You can hardly get a job in a club now. When we started, it was you could play kind of almost every night for $10 a night, and and live at it. And nowadays, if you don't have a record, or if you're not a real hot local band or something, it's hard to get it. There's the whole club scene has changed that way. But mostly, if I was to try to live on the amount of money that I've made selling records, it wouldn't not make it.
Really.
And plus it's always, we travel around all over the country and everywhere else, and play in clubs in front of the folks, and all them. When everything's right and enough new songs, enough good songs, this, that, and the other, make a record. But we're not under the pressure of we've got to have a record out by 6 months, because we don't want this last one to completely fall off the charts, stuff like that.
Guy and Townswell, acoustic music and the kind of music the two of you make is on the rise, right? It's coming back. There's more people interested in
Seems to be
in seeing a performer with a guitar, and is that what's happening in Texas as well? And
Seems to be. I mean, it seems to be happening everywhere. I mean, like Towns was saying, we play all over the United States, Canada, England, Ireland.
Yeah.
Towns just got back from New Zealand, and there seems to be a real market for it, And the rooms are there, the people come out.
I know that there was a time when record companies did not want you to in any way use the term folk singer. It was considered sort of bad karma, and now people are saying, yeah, I do folk.
Well, that's a term that applies to a lot of things, I mean, it's hard to describe what we do, I mean, we're not folk purists anymore, I guess, I mean, we're singer-songwriters, and whatever that turns into is what it is. It's just, this is the way that it works best for us. But it's obviously got a lot of roots in traditional folk music.
Guy, tell us a little bit about living in Los Angeles and writing LA Freeway.
Well, when I left Texas, decided to get in the music business, or try, and came here first. And went to work in the Dobro factory down in Long Beach, building Dobros, and would drive into Los Angeles every time I could get an appointment with somebody, and pitch songs. And one night I'd been playing this little string band, and we were playing down in San Diego. And we were driving back in the middle of the night. It was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, dozing in the back of his car. And I just kind of sat up out of this sleep, and I turned around to Susanna, and she was sitting beside me, and I said, God, man, we can just get off of this LA freeway without getting killed or caught, you know? And this little light bulb goes off, and I scramble around and got a pencil and paper and wrote it down, and that phrase, and I carried it around in my wallet for a year. Before I wrote the song. I wrote the song actually in Nashville after we left LA. But, you gotta strike while the iron's hot.
Right. You want to do it for us?
Sure. Oops. Pack up all your dishes, make note of all good wishes, and say goodbye to the landlord for me. It's always bored me. Throw out them LA papers, moldy box of vanilla wafers. Adios to all this concrete. Gonna get me some dirt road back street. If I can just get off of this LA freeway without getting killed or caught, down that road in a cloud of smoke to some land I ain't bought, and it's his to you, old skinny Dennis. Only one I think I will miss. I can hear that old bass singing, sweet and low like a gift you're bringing. Play it for me one more time now. Got to give it all we can now. I believe everything you're saying. Just you keep on playing. I can just get off of this LA freeway without getting killed or caught, down that road in a cloud of smoke to some land I ain't bought, and you put the pink card in the mailbox, leave the key in that old front door lock. They'll find it likely as not. I'm sure there's something we have both got. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry, babe. Love's a gift that's surely handmade. We got something to believe in, and don't you think it's time we're leaving? I can just get off of this LA freeway without getting killed or caught, down that road in a cloud of smoke to some land I ain't bought. If I can just get off of this LA freeway without getting killed or caught, down that road in a cloud of smoke to some land I ain't bought. So pack up all your dishes, make note of all good wishes, and say goodbye to the landlord for me. It's always bored me.
Guy Clark. I'd like to mention that your 1975 recording, Old Number One, is now available as an import from England on Edsel Records.
That and Texas Cooking as
Texas Cooking as well. And it's just been reissued this year on Edsel in England. And there are import stores around here where people can find them.
Good.
You've been described as being a perfectionist and kind of extremely self-critical. Is that
You mean about the songs?
about your own work, your own
sure.
your recording?
Well, I mean, I try to make it as good as I can, you know, because I got to live with it.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, you know, you were talking about, you know, don't you ever get tired of singing songs, you know, that people want to hear every night? And I don't, you know, because I took enough care with them when I was writing them. That, you know, they don't get old, and the ones that aren't quite as good, you don't do every night. You let them slide. And I wish I'd taken more care with the records, you know. But that's just live and learn. But the songs hold up.
It took a lot of years for your first record to come out, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Took you 3 years to put it together? Or?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I did it once. I mean, recorded it once and just didn't like what it was, you know, the way it was produced and the attitude that it was done with. So just scrapped it and started over.
Does that mean a new producer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you gotten into your own production at all, or?
Huh?
Have you gotten into producing your own thing?
This last record
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. I co-produced it with an engineer friend of mine.
How do you feel about the producing function?
Well, it's nice to have what it did for me. It made me responsible for the work rather than just allowing somebody else to say, "Well, I think we ought to put this there," and just kind of, you know, blocking it out and not really being responsible for what's going on tape and saying, "Well, you know, they can take care of that." And you know, now I got nobody to blame but myself if it doesn't sound right. So that's good, you know. I mean, like I said, I wish I'd done it before.
That's Guy Clark talking. I wonder if you'd do Partner Nobody Chose.
Sure.
I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a sweet little song that Rodney Crowell and I wrote together. In search of the words I love you. She's a rose with no room to grow. She's a light in the night with nowhere to shine. She's a partner that nobody chose. She's tried and she's tried and she's tried to keep on trying, but everything she tried fell apart. And she's loved and she's loved and she'd love to keep on loving, but every man she loved broke her heart. She's a melody in search of the words I love you. She's a rose with no room to grow. She's a light in the night with nowhere to shine. She's a partner that nobody chose. She's fallen and stumbled and fallen. No one picked her up when she fell, but she stood up with hopes up that someone would show up. Someday you never can tell. She's a melody in search of the words I love you. She's a rose with no room to grow. She's a light in the night with nowhere to shine. She's a
partner that nobody chose. She's a melody in search of the words I love you. She's a rose with no room to grow. She's a light in the night with nowhere to shine. She's a partner that nobody chose. Ah, she's lonesome and nobody knows.
How did that particular co-writing thing happen with you and Rodney?
We were getting ready to do the record South Coast of Texas. He was going to produce it, the first one he really produced. And we were putting together the songs for the record, trying to figure out what we were going to do over at my house one night. And I had that song almost finished, you know. I mean, it was almost finished. And he and I just sat down and straightened it out and took the rough edges off. Actually, that night, that same day, I guess, or one of those 2 or 3 days, the same time we wrote She's Crazy for Leaving, which is his new single that's out right now. But it just sounded like a real charming little Carter family kind of song.
That's Guy Clark talking. Also with us is Townes Van Zandt. And Townes, how did you get into writing songs?
I started playing kind of other people's songs, I guess for money, which was $10 down in Houston. And then a bunch of stuff happened at once. I was playing, it was kind of right at the end of the folk boom. Mm-hmm. And most of the people, and I was real new at it, and most of the people that I was kind of a house opening act at a place called the Jester Lounge in Houston. And most of the people I played with could sing better than me and could play better than me. So I had to have something, you know, to combat that, right? And I started off writing kind of what you would call barroom ballads, just about. Because we're talking like Texas drunk. You know, I mean, it couldn't slip like a summer Thursday in there or anything. I mean, it was hard to. And that was kind of the start. It's a combination of stuff. And along with that, I heard Bob Dylan's record, The Times They Are Changing.
Yeah.
And realized that that's just Bob Dylan and a guitar, you know, and a harmonica, writing those songs and saying those things, you know, and it was kind of, well, I could do that, you know, seriously. I mean, he was doing it seriously. Whereas up till then, I'd just been doing it for warming up crowds, right? And so I just started doing it. And also, along about that time, Jerry Jeff, got to know Jerry Jeff because he'd come through Houston and play there every so often. And here was a living example that I knew in the flesh that was doing it, right? All those things combined and, you know, just started and found out it was a lot easier than, you know, I mean, it wasn't impossible.
Yeah.
Like I've, you know, kind of had this theory. I think we're talking about it the other day somewhere, some interview, but I think a lot more people could write songs if they just would. There's an attitude that something real hard about writing a song, you know, and there's really not. You have to want to, and you have to be able to, you know, play a little bit of some instrument, not very much, you know, and have something that you want to do, and almost anybody could do it. It's not all that mysterious, you know. And then once you're into it and start, then you start to pick up the craftsmanship and all of the rest. And the more songs you write, it seems like the better you want every song to be. And if you keep the level of the songs you've written high. I mean, I'm sure Guy or myself, either one, could just like flip off some little song right now and make it up on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I've done that before on stage, but it's just not, nothing to it or anything. So to get a really good song, it takes serious effort. But to get started, that's, it wasn't all that much to it.
Your friends and some writers, some critics have noted that, how do we put this, that Townes Van Zandt has last 4 or 5 months gotten his act together. He's really quit drinking and playing better and singing better.
Oh, yeah, much better. It got kind of drinking and gambling and the wild side of life just got too much. And also, with my little boy and everything, it was just time to lay all of that aside. And, anyway, I got the blues so bad, I figured nothing on earth going to cure them anyway, so I might as well.
You did a new song last night, The Old Lady Catching. You said you didn't have a name for it yet.
No, I don't. The Old Lady's pretty good at names, isn't it? Want to hear that one?
Yeah.
This really kind of experimental. I about got it down, the delivery and everything. Well, the old lady finally caught me sneaking around her cave. Her hair looked just like barbed wire, boys. Her smile just like the grave. She asked me, could I stay a while? I said, I better go. She slid a hand around my neck and gently whispered no. Well, it's cold and dark and lonely here, and soon enough you'll see. I'm oh so glad you stumbled in, I've been craving company. Well, I told her I couldn't stay too long. I'd left some friends at home. She said, don't you fret about your friends. Down here we're all alone. Well, what about my darling mother? I can't just leave her there to mourn. She said, you don't have to think about her. Just forget you were ever born. But I'll disappoint my father. You know, he's worked so hard for me. Well, if you have to pay your father back, just send him some misery. Miss, I said, a girl I know, I can't just leave her there to pine. Oh, she's still got plenty of men to go. I'm sure she'll do just fine. But who's gonna raise my little boy? She said, he's just like you. Just let a few short years roll by, he'll end up down here too. Then her dark green eyes began to glow. She placed her hand in mine. She said, don't you worry about it. You'll get used to me in time. And as her cold tongue flickered toward my throat, I spun myself around. I made a dive for the passageway, but the wall come tumbling down. and our eyes were the only light my fevered brain could see. But I tore myself away from them. I fell down to my knees. I wanted too much, I've been too far, I beseech the gods of men. Ah, but Mammon only laughed at me. Silence once again. And then a whisper deep within, behold the God of love. I lifted my face, and through the tears I saw light fall from above. Well, I hurled myself into the wall. I ripped and clawed my way through the endless stinking loam, back to the light of day. Well, I climbed up into the wind again, the sky upon my face. I heard the earth sigh patiently as it slid back into place. Now I'm back among the ones I love, and I'm loved by them in turn. It's only on the darkest night that cold-eyed memory burns. So walk, my friend, in the light of day. Don't go sneaking around no holes. It just might be something down there wants to gobble up your soul.
Townes Van Zandt. Still looking for a name for that, or are you gonna?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe the old lady in the cave, or Cavesville.
Cavesville.
Or Don't Look Now.
Twilight Zone might be all right too. I like that though. I really do. I made it kind of my own head trip when I heard you do that.
It gets a little. Yeah, I'm getting to where I can. It's pretty new. It's a couple weeks. There's not much use to say, but I wrote what I think is going to be a good one yesterday in the room, which, like Guy said, is not really. It seems like I used to have. I used to do more writing in motel rooms because I used to do like 3 or 4 nighters,
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially the college coffee house circuit, and you're by yourself and you're in one room for 5 days or 4 days by yourself. And my best friend back during that time would be the lady at the cafeteria counter.
Yeah.
I'd get an egg salad sandwich and say hello. That was it. And now with doing one-nighters, you're never in a motel very long, right? But this particular situation, we happened to have been here for a couple of days, but I wish that I knew it good enough to play for y'all. I'll play it next time through. It's kind of about the homeless.
We have time for a couple more songs. I wonder if I could get Guy to do Homegrown Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
Sure. A little love song. Well, there ain't nothing in the world that I like better than bacon and lettuce and homegrown tomatoes. Up in the morning, out in the garden, get you a ripe one, don't get a hard one. Plant 'em in the spring, eat 'em in the summer. All winter without 'em's a culinary bummer. I forget all about the sweating and digging every time I go out and pick me a big one. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What'd life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only 2 things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
if I was to change it, now let's see the next verse. Now you can go out to eat, and that's for sure, but it's nothing a homegrown tomato won't cure. Put 'em in a salad, put 'em in a stew, you can make your very own tomato juice. You can eat 'em with eggs, you can eat 'em with gravy, eat 'em with beans, pinto or navy. Put 'em on the side, put 'em in the middle, put a homegrown tomato on a hot cake griddle. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What'd life be without homegrown tomatoes? On the two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. Now if I was to change this life I lead, I'd be Johnny Tomato Seed. 'Cause I know what this country needs is homegrown tomatoes in every yard you see. So when I die, don't bury me in a box in a cemetery. Out in a garden, it'd be much better, and I could be pushing up homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What'd life be without homegrown tomatoes? On the two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What'd life be without homegrown tomatoes? On the two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
That's on the Better Days album, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good song. Our guests are Glad Clark, you just heard, and Towns Van Zandt. And we have time for one more song. You got something you want to do together, or?
We made such a...
Do that one over?
Yeah, maybe I'll do that one over. No, go ahead and do something. Go ahead and do something.
Okay, well, I can do, well, don't take it too bad.
Yeah.
But I'll do it in C. Is that okay?
Sure.
Are you going to sing on it?
I'll play along. You sing.
Let me, by the way, thank you guys, Howard and Roz, and Peter, too. It's been a pleasure to be here. It's nice to see y'all again. And it's always a pleasure to play McCabe's, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a premier. There's maybe 5 in the United States that consider, or that I consider, and Guy probably too, premier joints. And McCabe's one of them, so it's been a real fun trip. Plus, we discovered a Mexican joint that serves breakfast. So
Was that Lara's?
You bet.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's one. I like it a lot.
I guess we didn't discover it after all. Well, don't you take it too bad if you're feeling unfeeling. If you're feeling unloving, if you're feeling alone, don't you take it too bad, 'cause it ain't you to blame, babe. Well, there's some kind of game made out of all of this living that we got left to do. Oh, and if you go searching for rhyme or for reason, oh, you won't have the time that it takes just for talking about the places you've been, babe, about the faces you've seen, babe, on how soft the time flies past your window at night. we just can't have that girl. It's a hard, lonesome, cold world, and a man needs a woman to stand by his side and whisper sweet words in his ears about daydreams and roses and playthings and the sweetness of springtime and the sound of the rain.
Well, thank you both for stopping by.
Thanks for having
Look
us.
forward to this for a long time. Thank you both.
Great. It's a real treat to be here.
That was our visit with Townes Van Zandt and Guy Clark. Once again.